How did the history of trade unions in Sri Lanka unfold? A fascinating story. It all begins in the late 19th century with a man named A.E. Bultjens. After 4 years of studies at Cambridge, Bultjens returned to Sri Lanka, then known as Ceylon. In an article for the monthly journal Independent Catholic, he stressed the need for a trade union in the country. He specifically addressed the issues faced by the printers of Ceylon. This call to action sparked the first strike in Sri Lanka's history, led by H.W. Cave & Co., a leading firm of stationers and printers. This strike led to the formation of the Ceylon Printers Society, recognized as not only the first trade union in Sri Lanka but also in the whole of Southeast Asia. The union elected Lisboa Pinto as chairman and A.E. Bultjens as secretary. Although this first strike didn't meet its goals, it ignited a spark in the working class, inspiring further strikes. Laundrymen in 1899, carters in 1906, railway workers in 1912, and harbour and railway workers in 1920 all followed suit. After 1920, the Ceylon Labour Union, led by A.E. Gunasinghe, organised the first general strike, which saw the participation of 20,000 workers. This was followed by a series of successful strikes among the working class. The British commercial interest, feeling the pressure, called on the governor, Herbert Stanley, to regulate trade union activities by introducing legislation. In April 1929, the governor submitted the first draft legislation to the Secretary to the State for Colonies. However, A.E. Gunasinghe and S.A. Wickramasinghe vehemently opposed the mandatory registration of trade unions. Despite these protests, the trade union ordinance was eventually promulgated in March 1935, after nearly 6 long years of heavy resistance from trade union leaders. This ordinance, which provided for registration and immunity from civil and tort liability in furtherance of trade disputes, encouraged the continuous association of workers and increased the number of unions in the country. Interestingly, the first trade union to be registered under the Trade Union Ordinance was not an association of workers, but the Employers' Federation of Ceylon. The first workers' association to be registered was the Sri Lanka Chauffeurs Association, which was registered on January 31, 1936. To wrap things up, the history of trade unions in Sri Lanka is marked by a series of struggles and victories. From the first strike led by printers, to the creation of the Ceylon Printers Society, to the eventual promulgation of the Trade Union Ordinance, each step contributed to shaping the country's labor landscape. The resilience of the working class, their ability to organize, and their determination to fight for their rights are all testament to the power of collective action and the enduring spirit of the Sri Lankan people.